Ambassador Jake Morrison walked through the bright white halls of the Galactic Council Station. His black shoes made soft sounds on the smooth floor. 3 years he had been here. 3 long years of trying to make deals and agreements with alien species who looked down on humans like they were children. The council meeting room was huge. Tall windows showed the dark space outside with distant stars. 12 different alien species sat around a circle-shaped table that glowed with soft blue light. Each species had their own special chairs made for their bodies. The humans got regular chairs in a corner like they were not really part of the group. Jake sat next to Lisa Hayes, his best helper and friend. She was a smart woman who knew a lot about space politics. Her brown hair was pulled back tight, and her green eyes showed anger. She'd been getting more upset each day they stayed here. "The humans still do not understand," said High Counselor Vexthera. Was a Zephyrian, which meant she looked like a giant crystal that could move and talk. Her voice sounded like wind chimes when she spoke. "They are too young as a species. They cannot handle big business between stars." The other aliens made sounds of agreement. The Altarians looked like tall birds with 4 arms. They nodded their long necks. The Corvani were short and round with green skin. They made clicking sounds with their mouths to show they agreed. Jake felt his hands turn into fists under the table. For 3 years, every idea humans brought to the council got shot down. They wanted to build new trade routes between star systems. The council said no. They wanted to share Earth's medical knowledge. The council said humans were too primitive. They wanted to help patrol dangerous areas of space where pirates attack ships. The council said humans were not ready. "We have been ready," Jake whispered to Lisa. "We have been ready for a long time." Lisa nodded. She looked at her tablet computer that showed all the proposals humans had made. Every single one had been rejected. The list was very long. Today was supposed to be different. Today, the council was voting on something that would hurt humans badly. The Altarian Commerce Guild wanted to make humans pay much more money to use the space lanes between stars. Right now, human ships paid the same as everyone else. The new law would make humans pay 3 times more. "This tax will help keep order in the galaxy," said Counselor Theckener, the main Altarian representative. His bird-like head turned to look at the humans. "The human ships are causing problems. They fly too fast. They make too much noise. They need to pay more to fix these problems?" Jake stood up. "That is not true. Our ships follow all the rules. Our pilots are careful. We have never caused problems." Some of the aliens made sounds like laughter. The Corvani started clicking faster, which meant they thought something was funny. "The human speaks out of turn," said Vexthera. "This is a discussion for real members of the council." The words hit Jake like a slap. Real members. After 3 years of trying to work with these aliens, they still did not see humans as equals. They saw humans as pets or children who needed to be controlled. "Let us vote," said Counselor Melkara, an Exori, who looked like a giant octopus with purple skin. "All in favor of the new tax on human ships?" 11 hands, claws, tentacles, and other body parts went up. Only the Terran Collective representative, human woman named Carol White, who worked for the outer colonies, voted against it. "The motion passes," said Vexthera. "Human ships will now pay 300% more to use galactic trade routes." Jake felt something break inside him. Not just anger, but something deeper. For 3 years, he had believed that if humans just tried hard enough, if they were patient enough, the other species would accept them. He had been wrong. He stood up again. This time he did not ask permission. "Lisa," he said in a clear voice, "send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we are coming home." Lisa looked surprised. "Sir, are you sure?" "I am very sure," Jake said. He started putting his papers and computer into his bag. "We are done here." The aliens stopped talking and looked at him. Some seemed confused. Others looked amused. "Humans are having a tantrum," clicked one of the Corvani. "How amusing. Where will you go?" asked Vexthera. "You need the council. You need us to survive in the galaxy." Jake stopped packing and looked at her. "Do we? Or do you need us?" The crystal alien made a sound like breaking glass, which meant she was laughing. "What could we possibly need from humans?" Jake did not answer. He just smiled and continued packing. Lisa was already sending messages on her tablet. Other humans in the room were getting ready to leave too. "This is foolish," said Theckener. "You will be back in a few months. You will beg us to let you return." "Maybe," said Jake. "Or maybe you will be the ones doing the begging." He walked toward the door with Lisa and the rest of the human team. As they left, he could hear the aliens talking and laughing behind them. They thought this was funny. They thought humans were just upset children who would come back when they got hungry. They were about to learn they were very wrong. As Jake walked to the docking bay where the human ships waited, he felt something he had not felt in years: freedom. For the first time since coming to this station, he did not have to be polite to aliens who did not respect him. He did not have to smile and accept insults. He did not have to pretend that being treated badly was normal. "Sir," said Lisa as they reached their ship, "are you really sure about this? If we leave now, it will be hard to come back?" Jake looked back at the station one last time. Through the windows, he could see the council room where the aliens were still meeting. They probably had not even noticed that the humans were gone. "Lisa," he said, "I do not think we will want to come back." The human ships left the station that day. None of the aliens bothered to say goodbye. They were too busy making jokes about the foolish humans who thought they could survive without the council's help. They would not be laughing for long. The message from Earth's command reached every human outpost in the galaxy within 2 days. Captain Ben Parker was eating breakfast on his ship when the communication came through. He almost choked on his coffee when he read it. "Must return to Earth immediately. End all joint operations with alien species. This order is final." Ben read the message 3 times. Commanded the Earth's Defense Force ship called New York. For 2 years, his ship had been working with alien vessels to keep space pirates away from the trade routes. The work was dangerous but important. Many ships carrying food and supplies used these routes every day. "Captain," said his second officer, Lieutenant Gary Stone, "what does this mean? Are we in trouble?" Ben shook his head. "No, Gary, I think something big just happened. Send word to all department heads. We are going home." Across the galaxy, the same scene played out on dozens of human ships and stations. Commander Rachel Stone was working late at the science station near Centauri. When her orders came, she was in charge of a big research project with the Zephyrian scientists. They were trying to understand how human brains worked differently from alien brains. The project was going very well. The humans and aliens had been working together for almost a year. They had made discoveries that could help both species. Now Rachel had to shut everything down. "Dr. Kellanara," Rachel said to the lead Zephyrian scientist, "I need to talk to you." The crystal alien turned toward her. Her body was glowing bright blue, which meant she was excited about their work. "Commander Stone, we have had a breakthrough. Human neural patterns are more complex than we thought. This could change everything we know about thinking and learning." Rachel felt bad about what she had to say.
"Doctor,
"I am sorry, but all humans are leaving this station.
ow.
Our work together is finished." The glow in Kellanar's crystal body flickered and went dim. "I do not understand. Why are you leaving? Did we do something wrong?" "No," Rachel said. "You did nothing wrong. This order comes from Earth. All humans must go home now." The Zephyrian scientist was quiet for a moment, and her body started glowing red, which meant she was worried. "But the project needs human minds to work. Your brains process information in ways ours cannot. Without humans, the research will stop." Rachel was already packing her equipment into metal boxes. "You will have to find another way." Similar conversations happened all over the galaxy. At the Nexus Trade Hub, the biggest shopping and trading station in space, human technicians got their orders to leave. The station's alien managers were not worried at first. "The humans only fix small problems," said Manager Veltok, a Corvani with green skin and big eyes. "We can handle the important systems ourselves." But the humans had been working on the station for 5 years. They had fixed many things and made many improvements. The life support systems that made air and controlled temperature had human-made parts. The computer networks that tracked all the ships and cargo used human software. Even the security systems that kept criminals out had been upgraded by human engineers. Chief Engineer Mike Davis was the last human to leave the station. As he walked to his ship, Veltok ran after him. "Wait," the green alien called out. "You must show my engineers how the thermal regulators work. The instruction manuals are written in human language." Mike stopped and turned around. "I offered to translate those manuals 6 months ago. Your people said alien engineers were smart enough to figure it out themselves. But that was different," Veltok said. "We were not serious then." "Please, just a few hours of training," Mike shook his head. "Sorry, my orders are clear. I have to leave now." The most important withdrawal happened near Earth's solar system. For 8 years, humans had maintained a network of defense platforms called the Sol Defense Grid. These platforms protected not just Earth, but also the major space routes that many alien ships used every day. Admiral Susan Reed commanded the defense grid from her flagship called Endeavour. When the withdrawal order came, she knew it would cause big problems. The defense platforms were positioned at key points around the solar system. They watched for pirates, enemy ships, and space debris that could hit civilian vessels. "All platforms are to power down and return to Earth orbit," Susan told her officers. "We are pulling back behind the asteroid belt." "Admiral," said Commander Pete Wilson, her tactical officer, "the Altarian cargo ships use this route every day. Without our protection, they will be easy targets for pirates." Susan looked at the display screen that showed all the ships moving through space near Earth. At least 30 alien vessels were using the protected routes right now. In a few hours, those routes would be unguarded. "That is not our problem anymore, Pete," she said. Withdrawal was fast and complete. Human ships that had been patrolling with alien fleets suddenly turned around and headed home. Human scientists packed up their research and left their alien partners behind. Human engineers shut down the systems they had built and took their tools with them. Most aliens did not understand what was happening at first. They thought the humans were just having a bad day and would come back soon. The Galactic Council had not even announced that the humans had left. Many alien species did not know there was a problem, but some of the smarter aliens began to worry. On the Nexus Trade Hub, the air recycling system started making strange noises the day after the humans left. The Corvani engineers could not figure out what was wrong. The instruction manual was in English, and none of them could read it well enough to understand the technical parts. At the research station near Centauri, Dr. Kellanara tried to continue the neural pattern experiments without human test subjects. But the equipment had been calibrated for human brains. It did not work properly with Zephyrian minds or any other alien species. The space routes near Earth became quiet. No more human patrol ships flew past the alien cargo vessels. No more human voices gave friendly warnings about asteroid fields or solar storms. The alien ship captains felt nervous, but they could not say exactly why. Captain Ben Parker's ship, New York, was one of the last to leave its patrol route. As they flew away, his communications officer picked up a distress call. "Captain, there is a Corvani merchant ship under attack by pirates. They are asking for help." Ben looked at the display. The merchant ship was being surrounded by 3 pirate vessels. Normally, he would have rushed to help, but his orders were clear. "Send them the location of the nearest Altarian patrol," he said. "We are going home." As the New York jumped into hyperspace, Ben could still hear the Corvani ship calling for help on the radio. He turned off the communications and tried not to think about what would happen to them. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to live without humans. 3 weeks had passed since the humans left. High Counselor Vexthera stood in her private office looking out at the stars. Her crystal body was dim and flickering. She had not slept well in days. The first reports had seemed like small problems. A few pirate attacks, some computer glitches, normal things that happened in space. But now the reports were coming in faster every day. They were getting worse. Her assistant, a young Zephyrian named Coulter, entered the room carrying a tablet full of bad news. "High Counselor, we have received 17 new emergency reports." "This morning?" Vexthera turned around. "Tell me." "The entire Vega Nebula trade route has been taken over by Ravager pirates. They destroyed 4 cargo ships yesterday. The Altarian Defense Force cannot stop them. Vexthera felt her crystal body grow cold. The Ravagers were the most dangerous pirates in the galaxy. They were brutal killers who showed no mercy. Years, human patrol ships had kept them away from the trade routes. Now those ships were gone. What about the Altarian military? They have strong ships. Coulter looked at his tablet nervously. General Zakmar says his ships cannot work together properly. The coordination software was designed by humans. His officers do not understand how to use it without human advisors. The problems were spreading, like a disease. On the Nexus Trade Hub, the life support systems had failed twice in the past week. The first time, the station had lost air for 6 hours. Thousands of people had to wear emergency breathing masks. The second time, the temperature control broke down and the station became very cold. Manager Veltok had tried to fix the systems. Himself, he had read the human instruction manuals and watched video tutorials. But the technology was too complex. The humans had built their systems to work with other systems in ways that were not obvious. When one part broke, it affected parts that seemed completely unrelated. The humans made everything too complicated, Veltok complained to his engineers. Why could they not make simple machines? But his chief engineer, a smart Corvani named Recto, shook his head. The systems are not complicated. They're efficient. The humans made them work together to save space and energy. That is why they are better than our old systems. Then why can we not fix them? Rictos was quiet for a moment, because we did not learn how they worked. Just assumed we could figure it out when we needed to. The banking crisis hit 3 days later. The Corvani Central Bank used security. Software that humans had designed. The software protected trillions of credits that belonged to dozens of species across the galaxy. It was supposed to be unbreakable, but hackers had found a way in. They stole money from thousands of accounts. Before anyone noticed, the bank's own programmers tried to fix the security holes, but they did not understand the human code well enough. Every time they fixed one problem, 2 new problems appeared. "We need the humans back," said Bank President Merkela during an emergency meeting. "Only they understand their own security systems." "The humans are gone," replied Trade Minister Yelenova. "We must find another way." "There is no other way. The entire banking system will collapse if we cannot stop these attacks." The worst news came from the frontier systems. The draconian hegemony had been quiet for years, kept in check by human military advisors and patrol fleets. But now their scout ships were moving closer to the core worlds every day. Admiral Susan Reed, sitting in her command center on Earth, watched the draconian movements on her screen. She had been expecting this. The draconians were smart enemies, who always looked for weakness. The withdrawal of human forces was like sending them an invitation to attack. "They are testing our defenses," she told President Alan Brooks during their daily briefing. "Draconian scouts have been spotted near the Kepler system and the Centauri colonies. They are seeing how we react." President Brooks leaned back in his chair. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. The past 3 weeks had been very stressful. How long before they make their move? Soon, maybe a few more days. The Draconians do not waste time when they see an opportunity. While they spoke, emergency meetings were happening across the galaxy. The Galactic Council had been called into session for the 3rd time that week. The council chamber was full of worried alien leaders who were starting to understand the size of their problem. "The situation is getting out of control," said Counselor Theckener. His bird-like head was twitching nervously. "My people cannot protect the trade routes without human support. The banking system is near collapse," added Counselor Merkela. "We have lost more money in 3 weeks than we lost in the previous 3 years." High Counselor Vexera looked around the room. These were the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and they were acting like scared children. "What are you suggesting?" "Need to contact the humans," said Counselor Melkara. "We need to ask them to come back." Several council members made sounds of disagreement. The Nexari delegate, a purple octopus-like creature, waved his tentacles angrily. "We cannot show weakness. If we beg the humans to return, they will think they can control us. They already control us, said Theckener quietly. We just did not realize it. The room became very quiet. Nobody wanted to admit that the bird-like alien was right, but they all knew he was speaking the truth. For years, humans had been solving problems and fixing things across the galaxy. The other species had gotten used to having humans around to handle the difficult work. How did this happen? Asked Vexera. How did we become so dependent on one species? Dr. Kellanara, the Zephyrian scientist, had been invited to the meeting to explain. Humans think differently than we do. Are very good at seeing connections between things that seem unrelated. They can make different systems work together, even when those systems were not designed to work together. But they are primitive, protested Counselor Yelanova. Their technology is simple compared to ours. Their individual technologies are simple, Kellanara agreed, but they combine simple things in complex ways. A human engineer can take a Zephyrian power system, a Corvain computer, and an Altarian sensor array, and make them all work together perfectly. None of our species can do that. Why not? Because we each specialize in one area. We make our technology very advanced but very specific. Humans make technology that is adaptable. They design systems that can work with other systems they have never seen before. The truth was becoming clear to everyone in the room. The galaxy was full of specialists who were very good at doing one thing. But humans were generalists who were good at doing many things and making them work together. In a galaxy where dozens of different species had to cooperate, the generalists had become essential. So what do we do? Asked Vexera. Before anyone could answer, alarms began ringing throughout the station. A communications officer ran into the chamber with urgent news. Hi, Counselor. We have received a priority message from the Kepler system. The Draconian hegemony has launched a full-scale attack. They have destroyed 3 defense platforms and are moving toward the research stations. The room erupted in panic. Dozens of voices spoke at once in different alien languages. Some council members were already calling their homeworlds to warn them. Vexera raised her voice above the noise. How long before the Draconians reach the core systems? At their current speed, maybe 2 weeks? Can our combined fleets stop them? The communications officer looked nervous. Unknown, High Counselor. Our fleets have never fought together without human coordination. We do not know if our ships can work as a team. High Counselor Vexthera looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of the galaxy's leaders. 3 weeks ago, they had been laughing at the humans. Now their civilization was falling apart. A hostile enemy was attacking their worlds. She knew what they had to do, even though it would be the hardest thing she had ever done in her long life. Contact Earth, she said quietly. We need to talk to the human government. The quantum communication link between the Galactic Council Station and Earth took 3 hours to establish. High Counselor Vexera waited in her private office, her crystal body flickering between different colors as her emotions changed. She had never been more nervous in her long life. When President Alan Brooks appeared on the screen, Vexthera was surprised by how calm he looked. The human leader sat behind his desk in the White House, wearing a simple blue suit. His gray hair was neat, and his eyes were alert. He did not look like someone whose species had just been insulted and rejected. High Counselor, President Brooks said politely.
This is unexpected.
I thought the Galactic Council had made it clear that humanity was not welcome. Vexera felt her crystal body grow warm with embarrassment. President Brooks, we may have been too quick to judge human contributions to our community, I see. Brooks leaned back in his chair. Behind him, Vexathara could see Admiral Susan Reed and Secretary of State Karen Hughes. Both women were watching the conversation carefully. What has changed your mind? The words were hard to say. We are having some difficulties. Pirates are attacking our trade routes. Our computer systems are failing. The Draconian hegemony has begun attacking our worlds. President Brooks nodded slowly. That sounds serious. But I am confused, High Counselor. 3 weeks ago, your council voted to increase taxes on human ships by 300%. You said we were primitive and could not handle galactic business. Surely such advanced species can handle a few pirates. The insult stung, but Vexthera knew she deserved it. President Brooks, we realize now that we made mistakes. Human skills are more valuable than we understood. What kind of help are you looking for? Vexthera's assistant had prepared a long list of requests. She read from her tablet. We need technical support for our computer systems. We need military advisors to coordinate our fleets. Need engineers to repair our space stations. Need logistics experts to organize supply lines. That is quite a list, Brooks said. It sounds like you need humans to do all the work your species cannot do. Truth in those words made Vexthera feel ashamed. We are willing to pay for this assistance. The same respect you showed us before, while Secretary Hughes whispered something to President Brooks. He nodded and looked back at the screen. Hi, Counselor. Before we discuss any assistance, I need to understand something. Why should humans risk their lives to help species that treated them badly? Because the Draconians will not stop with us, Vexthera said quickly. If they conquer the core worlds, they will eventually attack Earth too. Admiral Reed leaned forward. Hi, Counselor. Are you saying you cannot defend yourselves without human help? Another painful truth. Our fleets are strong, but they cannot work together properly. Human advisors taught our officers how to coordinate attacks and share information. Without that knowledge, our ships fight like individuals instead of teams. President Brooks was quiet for a long moment. How bad is the Draconian attack? They destroyed the Kepler research station yesterday. 15,000 scientists and support staff were killed. Their main fleet is moving toward the Centauri system. If Centauri falls, they will control the main shipping routes to half the galaxy. What about your own military forces? Admiral Tekvar of the Combined Fleet sent 1,200 ships to stop them. The Draconians destroyed 400 ships in the first battle. Our remaining forces had to retreat. The humans exchanged glances. Admiral Reed asked, How many ships do the Draconians have? About 800 in their main attack force. So, your 1,200 ships could not defeat their 800 ships? Vexthera's crystal body dimmed with shame. The Draconian ships work as a unit. Captains have trained together for years. Our ships come from different species, with different communication systems and different fighting styles. They could not coordinate their attacks. President Brooks stood up and walked to his window. He looked out at the green lawn behind the White House for several minutes. Finally, he turned back to the screen. Hi, Counselor. I need to discuss this with my advisors. We will contact you with our decision within 24 hours. President Brooks, please understand. Every hour we delay, more people die. The Draconians show no mercy to civilians. I understand the urgency. But this decision will affect the future relationship between humans and the rest of the galaxy. We need time to consider all the options. Communication link ended. Vexthera stared at the blank screen for a long time. She had never felt so helpless in her life. On Earth, President Brooks met with his top advisors in the Situation Room. The mood was serious, but not panicked. What do you think? Brooks asked Admiral Reed. The situation is worse than they are telling us, Reed replied. If the combined fleet lost 400 ships in one battle, their coordination problems are severe. The Draconians are probably planning to divide and conquer each species one at a time. Secretary Hughes opened her tablet and showed them intelligence reports. Our spy satellites have been watching the Draconian fleet movements. They are not just attacking randomly. This is a carefully planned invasion designed to capture key systems and control galactic trade. Could they actually conquer the entire galaxy? Brooks asked. Maybe, Reed said. The individual alien species are technologically advanced, but they think like specialists. Each species has its own military doctrine and command structure. The Draconians have spent decades studying their weaknesses. Defense Secretary Paul Martinez spoke up. If the Draconians control the galaxy, they will eventually come for Earth. We might be better off fighting them now while we have alien allies, even weak ones. Brooks nodded. What would we need to stop the Draconian invasion? Admiral Reed pulled up a holographic display showing ship positions. We could deploy the 3rd and 5th fleets, about 300 ships total. But our real advantage would not be ship numbers. It would be coordination and tactics. Explain. Draconian strategy relies on predictable enemy behavior. They have fought these alien species many times. They know how Altarians attack, how Zephyrians defend, how Corvani ships maneuver, but they have never fought humans in a major battle. About casualties, Brooks asked quietly. The room became very quiet. Admiral Reed looked at her notes. If we commit to this fight, we will lose ships and people. But if we do nothing and the Draconians win, they will be much stronger when they eventually attack us. Secretary Hughes added another consideration. There is also the political aspect. If we save the galaxy from the Draconians, no alien species will ever again question human capabilities. Brooks thought about the conversation with High Counselor Vexera. 3 weeks ago, the aliens had been laughing at humans. Now they were begging for help. The situation showed clearly how much the galaxy depended on human skills. What are our conditions? He asked. Admiral Reed smiled. I have a few ideas about that. The next day, President Brooks contacted the Galactic Council Station. This time, all 12 species leaders were present for the call. They looked desperate and frightened. We've decided to provide limited military assistance, Brooks announced. Relief flooded through the council chamber. Several aliens made sounds of joy. However, Brooks continued, this assistance comes with conditions. The room became quiet again. First, all taxes and restrictions on human ships and trade are permanently removed. Second, humans will be granted full membership in the Galactic Council with equal voting rights. Third, any future military operations will be commanded by human officers. High Counselor Vexera looked around at the other council members. None of them objected. We accept your conditions, she said. Good. Admiral Reed will coordinate the military response. Our ships will arrive at the front lines within 72 hours. As the communication ended, Vexera realized that everything had changed. 3 weeks ago, humans had been treated like unwanted guests. Now, they were about to become the saviors of galactic civilization. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could really do when they stopped being polite. Captain Tony Mitchell stood on the bridge of his ship, the carrier Yorktown. Through the large windows, he could see the damaged remains of the alien fleet. Broken ships drifted in space like wounded animals. Some were on fire, others had lost power completely. The battle had been going on for 3 days. The combined fleet of alien species had tried to stop the Draconian invasion at the Centauri system. It had been a disaster. The aliens lost 800 ships in the first 2 days of fighting, Captain, said his communications officer, Lieutenant Amy Clark. Admiral Reed is requesting all human ships to move to attack position. Tony nodded. The human fleet had arrived that morning. 300 ships, compared to the thousands of alien vessels already fighting. But Tony knew that numbers were not everything in space combat. All squadrons, this is Yorktown Actual, Tony said into his radio. Begin attack pattern Delta. Remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves today. We are fighting to show the galaxy what humans can do. The human ships moved forward in perfect formation. Each captain knew exactly where to go and what to do. They had trained together for years. Their communication systems worked perfectly with each other. When one ship moved, the others moved with it like parts of the same machine. The Draconian fleet was large and powerful. Their ships were painted black with red markings that looked like blood. For decades, they had conquered world after world using fear and superior tactics. They had never lost a major battle. Admiral Draconer commanded the Draconian fleet from his flagship, a massive dreadnought called Death's Edge. He watched the human ships approach on his tactical display. There were so few of them compared to his 800 vessels. These humans are either very brave or very stupid, he told his tactical officer. Focus all fire on their lead ships. We will destroy them quickly and then finish off the remaining aliens. But something strange happened when the battle began. The human ships did not fight like any enemy the Draconians had faced before. Instead of attacking in straight lines, they moved in complex patterns that seemed random at first. But then the Draconian ships started exploding. Captain Tony Mitchell's fighter squadrons worked like a pack of wolves. They would appear from one direction, attack a Draconian ship, then disappear before the enemy could respond. Then they would appear from a completely different direction and attack again. How are they doing this? Admiral Dreckner demanded. His ship's sensors could not predict where the humans would attack next. The answer was simple but devastating. Human pilots could adapt their tactics in real time. When they saw that one attack method was not working, they immediately tried something else. The Draconian fleet had planned for enemies who fought in predictable ways. But humans were never predictable. Within 6 hours, the human fleet had destroyed 200 Draconian ships, while losing only 30 of their own. The aliens who had been retreating in defeat suddenly found new hope. "The humans are winning," whispered Commander Velkara, captain of a Zephyrian cruiser. "They are actually winning." But the real change came when Admiral Reed gave a new order. Instead of fighting separately, she commanded the human ships to coordinate with the alien vessels. "All ships, this is Admiral Reed. Human vessels will take tactical command of mixed squadrons. Alien captains, follow the lead of your assigned human coordinators." For the first time in the war, alien and human ships fought as a single unit. The humans provided the coordination and tactics. The aliens provided the firepower and numbers. Together, they became unstoppable. The tide of battle turned completely. Draconian ships that had been winning easily suddenly found themselves surrounded and outmaneuvered. Their careful battle plans fell apart when faced with an enemy that could change tactics faster than they could respond. Admiral Dreckner watched his fleet fall apart on the tactical display. "This is impossible. How can 300 ships defeat us?" His tactical officer was studying the battle data with growing alarm. "Admiral, the humans are not fighting like a separate fleet. They are making all the ships work together as one giant fleet. The alien ships are following human orders perfectly. That cannot be. These species have been fighting each other for centuries. They hate each other, not anymore, sir. Humans are somehow making them cooperate." The explanation was simpler than the Draconians could understand. Humans had a natural talent for seeing the big picture. While other species focused on their own ships and their own tactics, humans could see how all the pieces fit together. They could take ships that were designed differently and make them work as a team. The final blow came from an unexpected source. Commander Kate Walsh, leading a team of human special forces, had been working behind enemy lines for weeks. The big space battle was happening. She had been convincing Draconian military leaders that the war was a mistake. "Your economy cannot support this invasion," she told General Morthok during a secret meeting. "You are spending more money on ships and weapons than your entire empire makes in a year." The Draconian general was a practical creature who understood numbers. "What are you suggesting? End the war now. Your fleet is losing. Your treasury is empty. If you continue fighting, your own people will rebel against the costs." Kate had done her research carefully. The Draconian Empire was not as strong as it appeared. The invasion was a desperate attempt to capture new resources because their homeworlds were running out of money and materials. "But if we retreat now, we will look weak. If you fight until your fleet is completely destroyed, you will be weak," Kate replied. "Better to end the war while you still have some ships left." The conversation worked better than anyone expected. Within days, the Draconian military was split between officers who wanted to continue the war and officers who wanted to go home. The fighting between different Draconian factions was more destructive than the battles with the Galactic Fleet. The war ended not with a huge battle, but with the Draconian Empire falling apart from the inside. Admiral Dreckner was arrested by his own officers. The invasion fleet surrendered and returned to their home territory to deal with their civil war. 6 months later, the signing ceremony took place on Earth. Representatives from all the galactic species gathered in the orbit. Around humanity's homeworld, the location was symbolic. For the first time, aliens were coming to humans instead of the other way around. The new galactic compact was very different from the old council structure. Humans were not just members. They were recognized as the coordinators and peacekeepers of galactic civilization. High Counselor Vexera, crystal body glowing with what humans had learned was deep respect, spoke at the ceremony. We believed we were teaching humans their place in the galaxy. Instead, humans taught us our place. President Brooks stood at the podium in the main conference room of the Earth Orbital Station. Around him, alien leaders who had once looked down on humanity now listened carefully to every word he said. "We did not seek to conquer anyone," Brooks said. "We simply proved that cooperation works better than competition. That adaptation is stronger than specialization. That sometimes the most powerful force is not the one that dominates, but the one that helps others work together." Admiral Reed, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Galactic Defense Forces, watched from the observation deck as alien ships patrolled alongside human vessels. The sight still amazed her. Species that had been enemies for generations were now working together. Under human leadership, think they have really learned their lesson? Asked Captain Tony Mitchell, who had been promoted to Admiral after his success in the war. Reed smiled and looked out at the peaceful galaxy beyond the station. "They have learned that you do not dismiss the species that keeps everything running. They have learned that humans do not conquer the galaxy by force. Then how do we do it? We conquer it by making it impossible for the galaxy to function without us." The ceremony ended with alien leaders from across the galaxy formally recognizing what the crisis had made clear. Humanity had not won through superior weapons or advanced technology. They had won by being the one species that could make all the other species work together. The galaxy had discovered that the most powerful force was not the one that ruled through fear, but the one that ruled through necessity. Humans had become the foundation that held galactic civilization together. Without them, everything fell apart. With them, anything was possible. As the last delegates departed Earth orbit, humanity looked out at a galaxy that finally understood their true value. They were not conquerors or rulers. They were the invisible glue that held everything together, that made them the most powerful species in the galaxy.